February 24, 2024, Birmingham, Alabama. The night was quiet, just like any other, but inside one household, a phone buzzed with a message that shattered a mother's heart. "Mom, help me. I'm scared. I don't know where I am." It was the last message Mahogany Jackson would ever send. She was 20 years old, a college student, bright, determined, with dreams bigger than the city she was raised in. Mahogany loved makeup, music, and had a smile that lit up every room she entered. That night, she vanished. She was supposed to meet up with friends, but by midnight, she was gone. Her phone, silent. Her location, unknown. Her mother knew something was terribly wrong. But what no one knew then was that Mahogany hadn't just disappeared. She had been taken. Her family reported her missing just after sunrise. They couldn't wait. They knew Mahogany wouldn't just vanish, not without telling someone. The Birmingham Police Department launched a search. Friends posted her photo everywhere, online, on lampposts, on car windows. By the evening of February 25th, a terrible discovery was made. In a quiet wooded area on the outskirts of town, officers found something, a lifeless body, beaten, bruised, burned. It was Mahogany. And the horror was only just beginning. When police found Mahogany, she'd been left in a discarded pile like garbage. But this wasn't just a murder. It was torture. The autopsy would reveal blunt force trauma to the head, evidence of sexual assault, multiple stab wounds, signs of restraint, and burn marks on her lower body. She had suffered for hours, possibly even a full day. Someone, or several people, had done this to her. Investigators had seen murder before, but this was something darker, more cruel, a deliberate, coordinated act of evil. And it wouldn't take long for police to uncover the names behind it. Within 48 hours, police arrested the first suspect, Antonio Brown, 28. He was known to Mahogany, a friend, or at least that's what she thought. But as investigators dug deeper, they found surveillance footage, messages, witnesses. Antonio wasn't alone. He was part of a group, a circle of people who had planned something unthinkable. Soon after, 7 more arrests followed, men and women, all between the ages of 20 and 35, all living in the Birmingham area. The community was in shock. How could this many people be involved? The suspects led police to an abandoned house, a rundown property nicknamed the Caboose by locals. Neighbors said it was a hangout spot, drugs, parties, and trouble. Inside that house, police found what they described as a scene from a horror movie. Blood-stained sheets, duct tape, burned clothing, Mahogany's jewelry, a charred section of flooring, and a mattress soaked in chemicals. It was there that Mahogany had been held, tortured, and murdered. And what was even worse, some of the suspects recorded parts of it, shared it, laughed about it. The question everyone was asking was why? Why would 8 people, including 2 women, target Mahogany Jackson? Police believed the motive was a combination of jealousy, manipulation, and gang-related retaliation. Mahogany had once been friends with one of the female suspects, Jasmine Moore, a 22-year-old with a history of violent behavior. Detectives learned there had been a falling out months earlier, but it wasn't just jealousy over success or relationships. Jasmine, according to investigators, was the bait. She had lured Mahogany to the house that night under the lie of reconciliation. Instead, she walked her into a trap. On March 1st, police obtained video footage from one of the suspects' phones. It was never released to the public, but what detectives saw haunted them. Mahogany was tied to a chair in the center of the room, crying, begging. One suspect, Antonio, stood in front of her, yelling. Another, a man named Derek Vaughn, was filming, laughing. The video showed the early stages of the torture. It lasted nearly 7 minutes. Investigators say that was only a fragment of what had happened over the course of 12 hours. Back in Charlotte, Mahogany's parents were destroyed. Her mother, Trina Jackson, broke down in front of reporters. "I sent my daughter out into the world to find her dreams. I never thought I'd bury her because of somebody else's nightmare." Her father, Marcus, stayed mostly silent until the funeral. That's when he stood up, placed his hand on Mahogany's casket, and whispered, "They will all pay." The funeral drew hundreds. classmates, professors, churchgoers, friends, and strangers. But there was one group missing. Not a single one of the suspects' families showed up. Not one condolence. Not one word. By mid-March, the FBI joined the case, because what started as a local murder was now looking like a human trafficking ring. Digital evidence found on phones and laptops suggested the group had done this before. Not murder, but coercion, manipulation, blackmail. Mahogany may have just been the first one who fought back. Authorities found dozens of private messages, photos, and threats, mostly targeting young women. Some victims were too afraid to come forward. Some had already vanished. And then another horror was uncovered. While investigating the Caboose house, officers uncovered DNA from another missing woman. Her name was Ari Caldwell. She had vanished in 2022. For 2 years, no one knew what happened to her. No body, no clues, just silence. But now, investigators had a match. Blood found in the walls matched Ari's DNA. And then came the discovery of human remains, buried shallow just behind the house. Suddenly, the Mahogany Jackson case wasn't just about one victim. It was about how many others never got the chance to scream. As news of Mahogany's brutal death and the potential serial nature of the case began to spread, it gripped the nation. TV stations replayed her smiling graduation photos next to her crime scene. Podcasters, TikTokers, citizen journalists, everyone wanted to know how this could have happened to a rising star in a quiet neighborhood surrounded by supposed friends. The phrase, "Justice for Mahogany," started trending across platforms. But for her mother, no amount of hashtags could bring back her daughter. "I see her face every time I close my eyes," Trina whispered during an interview. "They didn't just kill her, they erased a future." Each of the 8 suspects was taken into custody and held in isolation. One by one, they were questioned. Some stayed silent, others broke within hours. Jasmine Moore was the first to crack. She admitted to luring Mahogany, but claimed she didn't know they would kill her. "She was just supposed to be scared," Jasmine said, crying. But police weren't buying it. They had texts, Snapchats, planning logs. This wasn't spontaneous. This was orchestrated. It was the youngest suspect, a 17-year-old named Devin Marks, who finally told everything. He asked for a Bible before speaking. Then, in a 4-hour taped interview, he confessed to everything: the luring, the torture, the recording, and even the shallow grave behind the house. He told police Mahogany was singled out because she refused to play along. She had seen the others blackmail girls online, luring them into private photos, then threatening them. Mahogany wanted out. She told Jasmine she'd go to the police. That sealed her fate. She was gonna ruin everything, Devin said, so they said she had to disappear. Investigators searched the house again. What they found was beyond disturbing. A hidden basement door behind a false wall, chains and restraints bolted to the floor, disposable phones, blackmail files, folders with pictures, social profiles, passwords, a whiteboard with names. Some were crossed out. Mahogany's name was at the top in red marker. It was a kill list. The state of North Carolina prepared to pursue multiple first-degree murder charges, as well as kidnapping, conspiracy, and aggravated assault. Prosecutors called it one of the most calculated acts of cruelty in state history. Journalists swarmed the courtroom. Mahogany's mother wore her daughter's college hoodie every day. "She was 21, the prosecutor said in the opening argument. Not 21 years of pain, 21 years of promise. And when the jury saw the video for the first time, several of them wept. Even the defense attorneys looked away. The courtroom was silent. No movement, no breathing. The prosecution pressed play. On the screen, Mahogany, tied to a chair, eyes swollen, blood on her lips. She looked directly at the camera. "Why are you doing this?" she cried. "I didn't do anything to you." Her voice trembled. She begged. She screamed. And then came the blow. One juror had to leave the room. Another covered her face with her hands. The video was 2 minutes and 37 seconds long, but it changed the trial forever. As news broke about the video, protests erupted outside the courthouse. "Justice for Mahogany" echoed across the steps. People wore purple ribbons, her favorite color. Mothers marched, students cried, a community awakened. And across the country, the case sparked bigger questions. How could something like this go unnoticed? How many others were on that list? And how did social media play a role in her death? This wasn't just about one girl anymore. It became about every vulnerable teen who thought their friends were safe. A whistleblower from Mahogany's college stepped forward. She claimed she'd filed 3 warnings about Jasmine Moore and the group. One for stalking, one for cyberbullying, one for a threatening message left in a dorm room. Each time, she said, the reports were lost in the system. Even worse, Mahogany herself had walked into the dean's office 2 weeks before her death. She said, "If something happens to me, it's them." No follow-up was ever made. At sentencing, families were allowed to speak. Trina Jackson, holding her daughter's necklace, stood before the court. "You killed my baby," she said through tears. "But you didn't just end her life. You ended mine. You ended every dream I ever had for her. Every Christmas, every birthday, she was my best friend." She paused, then whispered, "I hope every time you close your eyes, you see what you did." Even the judge wiped away a tear. The judge spoke for nearly 30 minutes. He recounted every brutal detail. Then came the verdicts. Life in prison without parole for Jasmine Moore, life for Devin Marks, with no chance of early release. Sentences ranging from 25 to 40 years for the other 6. The judge concluded, "You didn't just kill a person. You killed trust, innocence, humanity." As the convicts were led away in cuffs, Trina held a picture of Mahogany to her chest. There was no celebration, no relief, only silence, and the hope that this would never happen again. After the trial, Trina Jackson was finally given access to Mahogany's belongings. Tucked inside a notebook were letters, unsent, unspoken, unread. One was addressed to herself. "Dear me, don't let their hate steal your joy. Even when they don't see you, you are still light. If I disappear, let them know I loved deeply. I tried. I just wanted to be seen." Trina collapsed to the floor, holding the letter to her heart. It was Mahogany's voice, reaching out from beyond the grave. Within weeks, Mahogany's story went national. Celebrities shared